Hej och välkomna allihop till ett nytt avsnitt av Studio Internationalen som den här gången gästas av doktoranden Tesfaye som blev av med sin handledare på Stockholms Universitet på grund av sin ledande roll som aktivist mot Israels folkmord i Gaza. Och jag säger välkommen och jag säger welcome Tesfaye Woubshet Ayele. And we agreed to keep this conversation partly or mostly in English because it is such an important issue and you are a little bit more familiar with English still. But you do speak and understand Swedish, right?
Det kan jag göra, Åsa. Yes.
You're so welcome, Tesfaye.
Tack så mycket, Åsa.
And I think that some of our readers they're already familiar with what we're going to talk about here today, because my colleague Lova Marcusdotters, who you know from the university, she has already done a written interview in Internationalen. And when we in the staff, when we read that, we said that, I mean, this is so upsetting. We want to hear more from your own mouth. So you are a doctoral student, a PhD student in English literature at Stockholm University. I start with asking you, what's the topic for this doctoral dissertation?
Well, thank you so much, Åsa, for having me and inviting me to this program. I really appreciate you and your organization, Internationalen. My project, yes, I am a doctoral student at the English department, and the subject I study is English literature, specifically African literature written in English. That's the field I'm in. And more specifically, I study two authors, one from Kenya, one from Zimbabwe, and I look at the way Ngugi wa Thiong'o and Tsitsi Dangarembga, for those who know these names, big names in African literature, and I look at their early novels and how they portray education, and I also look at their portrayal of education in connection with the history of their respective countries and how education has played a role there in the national liberation struggle from colonialism, because education was a central thing during that time. It played a big role, a liberating role, in the history and in also the literature that I look at. And so that is why education has an enormous liberating potential, and it has had so in history when it comes to settler colonialism, which is what Kenya and Zimbabwe experienced. They went through settler colonialism. And settler colonies, historically and today, when it comes to Israel, which is also a settler colony, have a big interest in controlling and limiting education because they know that the danger of it. So this was the same thing in history. So there has been a struggle over education, and that's the kind of thing I want to look at, like how the colonized used education as a means of liberation, and how the colonizer also limited and tried to control education in history. And that's what we're seeing today with Israel as well. I mean, when the genocide started in Gaza, one of the first things the Israelis did was level all the universities in Gaza in a few weeks' time. And of course, Palestinian universities in Gaza have been, and higher education in Palestine has been the target of Israeli assault for a very long time. And there was a scholasticide, and this is the scholasticide that we're seeing today, even with this current assault on Gaza. So this is the historical and literary field that I study, which bears very unfortunate resemblance to what we are seeing today.
It sounds so interesting. So there really is a connection also with your political engagement and your PhD studies.
Absolutely.
What the relation you have had with your supervisor, Stefan Helgesson, who is also vice rector of the Faculty of Humanities and member of the university. What has this relation been like before?
Yeah.
Before this happened that we're going to discuss here?
Well, the context of this discussion is the unfortunate events around my supervision of my PhD thesis, where my supervisor discontinued and withdrew as a supervisor for political reasons, that's the kind of context that we're talking about. I mean, I have known Stefan Helge so many years. He has taught me for a long time. We have continued to be in touch over the years since I graduated. I did my master's, and then now when I returned to the English department to do my PhD, he was my supervisor, and we had a very good relationship in the past. But
So the
unfortunately,
relationship was good. There were no signs that he was going to leave as your supervisor before.
no, I mean, he supervised my master's
but what
thesis as well.
What happened?
Well, I think politics happened. The Palestinasolidaritet movement happened.
It began, and we said you are one of the leading figures in the student movement for Gaza at the Stockholm University.
Yes, I mean, that's what I'm a part of the board of anti-imperialist action, anti-imperialistisk aktion Stockholm now. So in that way, yes, which is a university-based movement, anti-imperialist organization one of whose demands is, of course, the academic boycott of Israel. So in that way, yes, but my involvement precedes that. I mean, I was a member of Stockholm Academics for Palestine before that, and that is an organization that was founded by university students that I just happened to come across one day in late 2023, and I joined. So I've been involved in it for a while. I mean, that's the key.
But he knew that.
Yeah, he knew
Stefan
that.
Helgesson, he knew that.
Yeah, he knew that. He knew that I told him, and he knew that I was involved very
But
early
then
on.
you were called to a meeting with him.
Yeah, this happened in February of this year.
In February.
Yeah.
And
So
what
you have to
happened?
understand, yes, look, things weren't the same after the encampment. The encampment is a very important period for people to understand when it comes to campus politics in recent years, because this movement had been going on since the end of 2023 in a renewed fashion. The Palestinasolidaritet movement, as soon as the genocide started, that's when the pro-Palestine, anti-Zionist movement really took off in a big way again on university campuses. And in May, June of 2024 is when the encampment started in this country. And across the West as well, it was around that time. And that was a big moment because it marked a period of a shift in the methods and tactics of the university-based organizations. Before that, there was not, I mean, there were demonstrations, but this is a much more, depending on how you want to look at it, but a much more advanced, a much more confrontative kind of method of taking a university piece of university compound or property and staying there and occupying it for an extended period of time and not going and demanding the academic boycott of Israel. So that increased the stakes a lot for everyone involved, the activists and also the management. And that's when you started seeing the confrontational levels rise, and that is the context. It's after that the repression really increased in the universities with the forced removal of the encampments and also what I experienced, which was after this. This happened after the encampments. So that has to be borne in mind. So, you know, it's one thing to just have a nice conversation about Israel-Palestine. It's another thing to have that conversation when there's a militant or, you know, a relatively, in recent years, militant movement in the university that is actively demanding for the academic boycott of Israel. That's the difference.
And you were called to this meeting, and what happened at the meeting?
Well, look, I mean, I was in a demonstration. We have weekly walkouts in the university around 12 and in lunchtime every Monday outside of Ahuset in Frescati campus. So I guess I'm recruiting now. But so I was just in one of those walkouts, and that was a particularly dramatic one. The police were extremely aggressive, blocking our paths and boxing us in places. And a person was also, as a result of all of this pushing and pulling and all of this, was injured and had to be driven to hospital, things like that. And me and along with a fellow activist were arrested and driven away by the police to a different location from the university without any charges, by the way. So it was very, very dramatic. But, you know, in the same day, a few hours later, I had a meeting scheduled with Stefan. It was a supervision meeting. I thought it was just going to be a supervision meeting. I had no idea what was in store. But because I had this meeting, I had to go back from where I was driven back to the university. It was they dropped me off somewhere in Danderyd after going through my pockets and, you know, trying to identifying me, finding my ID, trying to go open my phone, go through my phone, things like that. After a while, they let me go, the police, and then I went back to the campus and I went to the meeting. And I walked in, and yeah, it was it was him, and it was Stefan, it was another person, and who's also a professor in the university, in the department. And I realized it was a little bit tense and a bit off, so I kind of said, I just kind of knew something was up. I sat anyway, and they made it clear that in the beginning that, okay, this is a meeting Stefan said, for me to decide whether or not I want to continue as your supervisor. Well, I was just shocked. I was floored. I didn't know what to say.
You didn't suspect anything then?
No, we have these meetings quite regularly, so I didn't expect that was going to...
But then when you came to see, he confronted you.
Yeah. Yes, and he said, he asked me a very pointed question about a recent act of vandalism against the university administration building. And he asked me...
he wanted to know whether you support a two-state solution or, quote, the destruction of Israel as a state.
Yeah, he asked me that afterwards.
And your reaction to that question, you must have been quite shocked.
Yes, I was shocked. I mean, he initially asked me about an act of vandalism against the university administration building, and he asked me whether I approve of it or not, and if I did, that he would withdraw as my supervisor. That's what he said. And I asked him, why are you asking me this? Are you asking everyone, all of your supervisees, this question? He said, it's because you're involved in the groups we suspect having carried this out, the Palestinasolidaritet group. So, and I told him I don't approve of it. You know, it's not about how can I approve of it? I told him it's an illegal act and all of that. But I think the way forward from something like this is not you and me sitting here behind closed doors and you asking me what I think about this protest method or that protest method. The main thing has to do with addressing the issue at hand.
Answer? Because right, you said that are these the only two alternatives?
Yes, and after that he asked me about whether or not I support a two-state solution or the annihilation of Israel, and I told him, are these the two options? Annihilation of Israel as what exactly? What are we talking about? Israel as a Jewish apartheid state? What are we talking about here? Can you explain? He said, just answer the question, do you support two-state solution or not? I told him, really, it's really up to us to decide this matter. Both you and me are not from there. I think it should be up to the people that are from there to decide this matter together. And my concern is to fight the genocide and fight the occupation first and foremost. And that should be all of our concerns. And to be frank, if the concern is the fears about annihilation, maybe the ones who should be asked about whether they support annihilation or not are the Israelis. Because the Israelis are the ones doing the annihilating right now. And the university is continuing to collaborate with Israeli universities that are hand in glove. They work together, very much together.
Did you bring that up at this meeting?
Yes, of course.
Yeah.
I told him this.
The demands that you have from the student movement.
I told him this.
Yeah.
I told him this is the annihilation is actually being carried out by Israel. And so to fight that, what we need to do is to really reconsider whether or not universities want to collaborate with Israeli universities that are complicit in this. And the annihilation of Gaza and annihilation of Palestine. And instead of closed-door meetings, these kinds of discussions should be had publicly. Now, look, just to say one more thing. I have no problem with people talking and asking me pointed questions about my views on Israel-Palestine. That's not the issue. What the issue is here is that there's a professional ethics issue. Supervisors and supervisees should not be having these kinds of discussions with their supervision at stake. That's the issue here. It's another thing to talk about these things over dinner or lunch or over on the streets during a protest. That's a different thing. But when your education, your future in education and your career, in the progress of your career is put on the line like that by someone in a power position over you, a professor, a supervisor, the dean of the humanities faculty, board member of the university. That's a huge, huge issue. Yeah.
But he did not resign from his position as your supervisor at the meeting. You got a letter, or did he call you afterwards, or what?
No, he sent.
When did you find out?
No, it's the next day. All of this was documented, so there are notes and minutes to this discussion that I just referred to, and Lova did really good work writing that article for Internationalen, so people who are interested can look at that. But the next day he wrote and he said he does not want to continue. I think it was the next day. Yeah, as he wrote an email.
So what happened with your academic work when you got this decision? Where are you at right now?
Well, I mean, eventually I did get replacement, supervision replacement for my supervisor. But, I mean, it has not been easy, I'm not going to lie. I can put a brave face on and stuff like that, but it has not been easy at all.
But you tried to continue your academic work.
Yeah.
Have you tried to get another supervisor?
Yes, I have gotten...
You have got one?
Yes.
Yeah. So that's good, though.
That's good, yeah.
But you still try to give him this critique.
I think that this critique is very important because this is the kind of thing that is stopping the people from engaging in politics, Palestinasolidaritet politics, but also anti-establishment politics of any kind. There needs to be... people need to feel free to bring up and to engage in what are seen as controversial topics and controversial movements. Otherwise, the university is not a place of freedom of thought, freedom of expression, freedom of association. And these kinds of things are threatening. That's why I'm coming out here and talking to you. It's because I know for a fact that there are a lot of people that are on the receiving end of this kind of thing in the university, these kinds of discussions and of this kind are shut down. I mean, I'm not going to name anyone because this is sensitive.
But you know that you're not alone.
Yes, I
as a
know that,
student.
but someone has to come out and say this because, because almost everyone is intimidated into silence. And there's this very strong, many people in the university call it the culture of silence. Well, someone has to do the silencing in order for there to be a culture of silence. And there's a lot of silencing going on, at least someone should talk about this. And that's why I want to address it, so that perhaps others can also come out and talk about the kind of silencing that they have faced.
Yes. This day that we meet here in the studio at Solidaritetshuset, we just saw that there was an interesting article in Aftonbladet that the culture pages were actually some well-known professors at Uppsala University, at Mattias Gardell and Paulina de los Reyes, Edda Manga, among others. They have signed this article, right?
Yes.
You had...
I think you're talking about this protest
yeah.
on the 20th of October, on a Monday, I think, yeah. And it was a protest against this academic freedom conference in Uppsala University. In particular, a panel discussion where
they want the university board to break the cooperation with some universities in Israel, especially one at the occupied ground, Hebrew University.
Yeah, so the panel, I mean, I was part of this protest in question. The panel that we protested was made up of the university leadership. This has to be highlighted.
Yeah.
Because we wanted to protest the university vice chancellors, the presidents or the heads of the university, and the head of Uppsala University, Stockholm University, Konstfack, and also chair of the board of Umeå University, also former education minister. They were all in one panel to talk about academic freedom. And we thought this is a good opportunity to talk about the biggest issue of academic freedom in Sweden and in the West today, which is the Israel-Palestine issue and the academic boycott of Israel issue. That is the issue central to academic freedom in the West today, which was being ignored totally. I mean, it was not in the program for this week-long conference, and also not in the program for this panel. So we wanted to bring it up, something that was being brushed under the rug. And also, we wanted to protest the senior management of those universities because they continue to collaborate with Israeli universities, such as you said, Hebrew University of Jerusalem.
And what is the main reason that they continue to collaborate with these Israeli universities?
Yeah, but let me just say one thing.
Yeah.
The Hebrew University of Jerusalem, by the way, as you said, the campus itself is an occupier. It's sitting on occupied land in East Jerusalem, part of it. So the site itself participates in the colonization of Palestine, the occupation of Palestine. A good book in this regard is Maya Wind's Tower of Ivory and Steel, where she systematically, meticulously shows the history of these universities as settler universities, including Hebrew University, and the continued assault on Palestine by the Israeli government is done in collaboration with these universities. These universities are working hand in glove with the Israeli military, with the Israeli occupying forces. So, with that said, yes, that we want their reasoning, the university leadership in Sweden now, their reasoning for not wanting to cut their ties. Oh, by the way, also I should add, all these Israeli universities that they're collaborating with, of course, have supported the current genocide in Gaza. It's called Operation Iron Sword. That's the official name of that they've given to the genocidal campaign. And of course, the universities have endorsed it. So this is what we're talking about. That's the context. These are complicit universities in genocide and colonization Now, when we ask the university, when we tell these university leaders, you have to cut your ties with genocide. You have to cut your ties with apartheid and colonization. Their response is, well, we would love to, or maybe they don't even say that. They don't say we would love to. They say, we can't. We cannot cut our ties. We cannot cut these institutional agreements with these universities because that is a foreign policy issue.
They say it's a government issue.
Yes,
and
the government
since the government does not act, they say we cannot do anything.
That's right. They say that it's the government that decides on these things and not us. So they're ceding the issue to the government. But what we're asking them is not to come up with a trade agreement.
Do you think they are afraid of getting cuts in their budget?
Yeah.
Or what are they afraid of also in the university?
Yes, I think there are funding issues involved and the like, but I think primarily it has to do with politics. Because as you know, the Zionist project and Israel's colonization, occupation of Palestine is very much supported by the United States and by the Western imperialists in general, including the British before the United States. And so this is a very continuous, a long project. And it has been made possible by Western governments. It's very hard to break from that. They are experiencing a great deal of political pressure. That's what I believe. That's why they can't. They say that's why they don't want to do it. That doesn't mean they can't do it, but that's why they don't want to do it.
Yes, it's a quite different time from Göran, our technician, and I. We remember kårhusockupationen with Olof Palme coming to meet the students.
Oh, really? You were involved in that?
It's another time from what we are living in now, definitely.
Oh, I mean, yes, we would love for Ulf Kristersson to show up during the encampment or something like that, but unfortunately he hasn't done that.
You don't think that this is going to happen, right?
No, even the university president didn't show up, unfortunately. But this would have been a great moment for them to really stand up to what's happening in the West
today.
Yes,
so what is happening now for you and for the student movement here in Sweden, in the Gaza movement? How do you continue your work?
I mean, we will continue with our activism and with our activities on campus and off campus, because there is a ceasefire, yes, but the ceasefire is violated almost daily, regularly. So many people have already died. The siege has not been lifted fully, and a lot of Gaza is still occupied. I mean, this is really a dire situation that needs to be addressed, and so we will continue our Palestine solidarity politics and advocating for the academic boycott of Israel. We will not stop that. My hope is that in the future, stories like this will come out more from the university students, from PhDs, from people higher up who have experienced this kind of thing.
And as we could see here, and you know from reality, there are also a lot of professors on your side.
Yes,
so
exactly.
That must be the same at the Stockholm University.
Yes, and we hope that, because look, this is not decolonization, anti-colonial, anti-imperial struggle is not, it has a lot of discomforts. It's a very uncomfortable thing. I understand. It's not an easy thing to be part of because of all the pressure that comes to bear on you. But it's absolutely necessary. Decolonization was done in the past, not because it was comfortable, but because it was necessary. And I hope that this is not lost on people and that they will do the necessary thing and keep fighting against the university leadership as long as it continues with this current line, keep fighting against the government that is not only still allied with Israel, but is also driving the country more and more towards the imperialist bloc, joining NATO and all of this kind of stuff. This has to be challenged, and it's uncomfortable. yes, but it's absolutely necessary, and I hope the struggle will continue, and a lot of interesting new organizations are coming out. Anti-Imperialist Aktion is one of them. There are others also, that have been organized around the Palestine issue, anti-imperialist issue, and shout out to Folkets Röst, Framtidens Vänster, RFA, Together for Palestine. So many, of course, Swedish Academia for Palestine. They do these reports, PDS reports, that show in detail the universities in Sweden and their collaboration with Israeli universities, as well as why we need to cut ties with Israeli universities. All of these groups, I hope one day will come together and will form a real anti-imperialist alternative, a real socialist alternative to what exists in the parliamentary parties, and we can take this country away from where it has been sliding towards. Perhaps maybe take it back to some of the nice aspects of the Olof Palme days that you were referring to.
So maybe, I would not say that what happened to you is a good thing, but sometimes it can be striking, it can be obvious, it can be a wake-up call. So hopefully it can work like that. What do you think?
Yes, I hope so. I hope that's the effect that it will have, a wake-up effect, and I hope that people are really motivated for action, that they get up and start doing things and organizing and really challenging the establishment, because that's what we need right now. And this includes university, off campus, on campus, and I think this is the start of something, a start of a really great chapter in the left. It has a great potential. The Palestinasolidaritet has had an effect of awakening and bringing people together, and so we hope we will continue on that work. Yeah.
Thank you. Tack, Tesfaye Woubshet Ayele. Vilka bra slutord där. Och för att du kom och gästade Studio Internationalen och berättade vad som har hänt och hur vi naturligtvis gemensamt måste hindra en sån här utveckling från att få fäste. Tack också till vår tekniker Göran Samuelsson och till alla våra trogna lyssnare. Vi hörs igen nästa vecka. Tack.
Thank you so